Greetings. So I'm out here in the garden. It's fall time, the time of the year that you really need to start transitioning to the winter part of the year and thinking about next year's garden. So I promised Erica I'd make a video a little bit about garden considerations, garden design. I hate to call it garden design. It's more of a considerations about gardening. Uh, and it's just my thoughts, just what works for me, right? So years ago, uh, when we lived in Decatur, I wanted to have a garden, and I didn't really have a tiller. I didn't really have a lot of land, so I got to looking about how I could have a garden at home, and I ran across this book by Mel Bartholomew. This is actually a newer version, all new square foot gardening. Recommend, if you want to garden in raised beds, you pick up this book. You can probably get it at the library. I don't know that it's in print anymore, but I know that the library in Rogersville has one. And then, if you're local here and you want to borrow mine, go ahead. So what I decided when I was looking for that is to do raised beds and in the square foot gardening style. Uh, Square foot gardening is really an intensive gardening system where you plant things really close together. And what that does, it shades out any, keeps weeds down and that kind of thing. That's the way I gardened for many years. And then I was traveling a lot for work. My bride took over sort of the gardening part, and we've sort of let that slide, the square foot gardening, but I want to get back to it. But I still kept raised bed gardening. And in Mel's book, he talks about, the soil. And so what I'm doing, I'm controlling the soil that the plants are growing in. I use 1/3 by volume compost, peat moss, and vermiculite. Vermiculite's there to make it airy. The peat moss is there to retain moisture, and the compost is there to provide food. I have a composter that I make my own compost. I don't generate all the compost I need, not right now, but so I do have to buy some compost every year. Uh, I prefer to garden in wooden beds, and the reason I like wooden beds, I know that they do rot a bit. These have been down for about 10 years, maybe 9 or 10 years, and the reason I like them is they're easy to shape, and I can attach things to them. So, we'll cover some of the attachments in a little bit. When you think about building a garden, or at least when I did, I thought about the aesthetics of the garden. A lot of times I'm more about the performance or the how things work and that it works well. But sometimes I think about aesthetics or how it looks. And so what I have here is sort of reminiscent of an English garden. You can see I've got a wide path in the middle. It intersects another wide path. These are about 4 feet wide. I can actually drive my tractor. I have a John Deere 1025R compact tractor. I can drive it through that path. I made the path wide enough to get the tractor down. I could drive it through here, but I put these trellises up, and so I'd hit the trellis. So at home you might have a lawnmower that's pulling a little trailer. I've got one of those. I can drive it in here. You can see these paths are about 3 feet wide enough for me to get a wheelbarrow around safe, comfortably, right? So I can turn the wheelbarrow. The beds, when you do raised beds, don't build a raised bed any wider than 4 feet. And why 4 feet? Because if you're working on one side of the raised bed, about 2 feet is all you can reach in, right? So I'm about halfway in the bed reaching in to do stuff, safely, I guess. And then 2 feet from the other side. I've limited myself here by these trellises, and so I have 4 feet wide beds, 3 feet wide beds, and 2 feet wide beds. That goes more to the, English garden style where, as the beds get closer to the center, they get larger. It's just an aesthetic thing. The other thing I've done, and I'll show you this in another video, but my garden is laid out in quadrants. And so I have what you might call a northeast quadrant and a northwest quadrant, you know, a southeast and southwest quadrant. We'll talk about that later, but there's as much planting space, there's an equal amount of planting space in all 4 quadrants. Other things to consider with raised beds, you know, I'll go back to attaching things to the wooden beds. Now, I realize that I need to do some maintenance on my beds. Like I said, they're about 8 or 9 years old. But this trellis is just held to this bed with fencing staples. That's it. I just you know, went in the cattle panel down, nailed it in, bent it over, and nailed it on the other side. And you know, you notice this is a 2x6 bed. I'm gonna probably replace some of these this year. Uh, these are little hoops that I can put shade cloth in the summertime, you know, which is a black cloth that allows a little filtered sunlight. Shade cloth in the summertime. We're about to put like a hoop tunnel over this, so we'll put a clear or opaque cloth over here. Sunlight will still be able to go through it. I'll have to water in a different manner, but what that does is retain the heat. This bed is full of wintergreens and lettuces and those kind of things, and well, that's our oregano. But what I've done here, this is a piece of 1-inch PVC, just cut, a little C-clamp right here holding it to the bed. It's just screwed in with you know, some screws, and then I take a 1/2-inch piece of PVC, stick it in there, bend it over, stick it in the other side. I've found, you know, 3 feet's about the limit on that bend radius for that PVC. I can put these over the 4-feet beds, 3-feet beds. The 2-feet beds, I really need to turn it at an angle so that my, you know, 2 center pieces are not exactly across from each other, because that 2-feet radius is a little tight for that PVC. Another thing that comes in handy with that, these little I don't know, pipe clamps, this little plastic piece that expands. And what I do, I'll take that plastic and I'll place the plastic over these hoops, and then just take this clamp and clamp the plastic to the PVC. And so that works really well for me. You might see on the outside of the beds, this is the 4-feet bed, the 3-feet bed, the 2-feet bed, and then out here, I've got a border of, these are muscadines, there's grapes over there. On the corners where the beds, they don't go all the way to the corner. You know, back here I have a fig, another fig tree over there, aronia bush over here. I had a gooseberry here, and it didn't make it through the summer, so I'll need to replant that. So that's a little bit about it. I'm gonna walk with you now and show you something else about the beds. Just bear with me. Don't get sick as we move. We'll come over here. Another way that I've trellised. You know, this is just a store-bought trellis. Or pepper plants are on. You know, they work well in the beds. You know, you can get bamboo sticks. You know, sort of make you a teepee. That works well for beans and those kind of things. Here you see the black plastic, and what I'm doing there, in the wintertime, a lot of times I will staple, you know, black, I think it's 10 mil plastic, to the bed, just to the wood. Another reason to have a wood bed, and you do have to cut a little slit in it to let the water through when it, you know, it sags. But and what that does, it sort of helps warm the bed. It might kill a little bit of the, if it gets hot enough under there, it might kill a little bit of the weed seeds that'll get in there. It keeps stuff from getting in the beds, you know, as you know, through the winter, the wind will blow and it might blow seed over, bird droppings, those kind of things that'll bring seeds for weeds into your bed. And then in the springtime, uncover it, add a little compost, you know, till it up really with just a hand trowel, and then get ready to plant it again. So that works really well for me. see, we'll go over here a little bit. Just bear with me in the motion here. I want to show you another reason I use wooden beds. You know, this is a tomato trellis, I guess, and so this is conduit, 1/2 inch conduit. C-clamps here. This is a 1/2 inch threaded elbow at the top, and so, you know, and then I just buy this, you know, 6-inch grid trellis netting, and it goes right over there, and my tomatoes grow up that. And you know, I weave it in and out. It is on an angle. You remember I mentioned this, you know, the 3 foot. So, you know, as I put these in, I plant the plants with respect to where the trellis is going to be, because you know, I've screwed these C-clamps in. So let's see. I guess that's about it for right now. I will try to come back later and do a little video with Excel, and so I can show you the way rotational planting works and the way my grids work from a top-down view. I can't really give you that top-down view out here. So appreciate you joining. You know, raised bed gardening in the square foot style. That's what works for me mostly.